This video is about Icom radio over IP. It's a system that allows you to connect radio networks over the internet or over an internal company network. And this is the equipment that customer don't see. It goes somewhere in the rack or in the back of a room somewhere. And what the customer see is the Wi-Fi radios. These are little Wi-Fi radios that allow the customer to connect to a Wi-Fi network as long as they are properly programmed, and they have a lot of interesting functions beside the call IDs, calling a telephone line, water resistance, calling a radio or a repeater system. Very neat features and lightweight, really light. And I assume that they will not cause you brain issues like some of the radios and old, even the digital radios. If you keep using those radios with the antenna next to your brain, I don't know the long-term effects. But this use much less power, and they are pretty light, and you can stick these things into your pocket. And they have custom type of tones and ringtones. You can attach this type of headsets. And what I like about these radios, you can use them in duplex mode. A really neat feature to be able to talk and receive at the same time. But for that, you need to use this type of headset. So right now this headset is already active in duplex mode. You can talk and receive. This is the earpiece. It goes around your ear, and you can talk to the group. You can talk to one person if they have duplex radios. I assume that everyone uses the same radio, otherwise you have to go through these boxes to talk to other type of portable radios, to Motorola, Kenwood, or even Icom. And those radios, since they are in simplex mode, then you won't be able to talk in duplex mode from these portable radios. So what's behind the scenes, what the customer don't see, is this little server, IP1000C and VE-PG3. This is an older model. Icom has VE-PG4. And you have to connect these things to an access point or your company mesh Wi-Fi network. Of course, you have to have some technician who knows IP. And in my case, I just use an ASUS router. I set it as access point, so I can do my testing in the office. And you have to do a bunch of settings here, create lists, extensions, where the radios call, who's caller. Takes some time to do all those settings. If you want to install a very simple system, you may have to install or set up less functions. But in my case, I've used, for demonstration purpose, I've used all the available functions of this box. And this is not a demonstration video. This is not an instructional video. It's just showing what I'm doing here on the bench and what can you do with this type of stuff. But again, it's not a full demo. For those who don't know, this box, the VE-PG3 and VE-PG4, has a number of extensions. So of course the voice over IP, 2 lines, then the analog telephone line, then external in and out, like some sort of an intercom or public address system. Then you have radio, like a repeater or mobile radios. And for those, you can build your own cables, like I did this custom cable that goes to an external speaker and an external microphone. I'm simulating an intercom system here, so I had to build this cable instead of waiting for cables to come from Icom. So it took me some digging, figure out a couple of things, software, IP related stuff, building lists, and programming radios, cloning radios. And one easy thing is, and I'm going to show you, is how you clone these radios using the Icom free software that you get from the internet, CS IP100H. So these radios are IP100H from hotel, and when they come new, you need to sort of use this software and an interface. It's a OPC478 that you can purchase from Icom or from one of their dealers, and it has with an USB port and a little 3.5mm jack, and you just have to use this one, plug into the radio, and use the software. So the purpose of cloning this radio is to assign a couple of settings to each radio. So you have one that works already, or maybe a few that work, and you have to transfer that type of, or copy that information like a provisional server or a wireless LAN setting. So those are important things that allow you to connect these radios, the Wi-Fi radios, to this provisional server, which is IP1000C, and the Wi-Fi network. Otherwise, these radios will be useless. So again, I already cloned these radios. I copied one of the radios, unit number 2. It's one of these things. Yes, this is unit number 2, and this is kind of the parent. And now all these radios being cloned are still unit number 2. So you cannot use these radios to talk to the fleet. You have to, once they connect to the Wi-Fi, you still have to get into the provisional server and program each radio. So for demonstration purpose, I'm going to clone one radio. I have the cloning cable connected. Again, it is going through that OPC478 interface. And first you copy a radio that is already working, and once you have the information in your software, the information that you copied from the other radio, you just press right. It doesn't have, like some radios have a cloning button, and you wait, you look at the progress bar, and they said never disconnect this radio while cloning because you can corrupt the firmware. And wait and wait. If the progress bar doesn't move forward, that means you did not set this USB interface port, COM port. You maybe did not download the driver, or you have to go into the COM port and set this software, the read-write software, cloning software, with the correct port. So for that, you have to go into the control panel of your computer and figure out what's the COM port number, or what's the number that was assigned to this this interface. So now we disconnect this, and this will start connecting to the server. Take some time to connect to the Wi-Fi access point and to the provisional server. But it will still be unit number 2. And now we want to access the web interfaces. So this is the VE-PG3, has a web interface where you set the ports, you set the extensions. So you have a bunch of settings to take care of. So I set a number of temporary demo extensions here, that once it talks through link, I set 3 links. So if I go to my provision server, I have these gateway links. If you see here, I set 3 IP links with 3 port number, different port numbers. So this thing is talking to this thing through those IP links. And of course, they don't have to be in the same room. They can be across the city or across the world via IP link. And once I have these links, then I have to assign those links to certain extensions. So this is not an instructional video. You have to hire probably one of the Icom dealers to do that for you, because it takes some hours to take things, and that technician has to know not only radio related stuff or wireless related stuff, has to know some IP related stuff. So it's a bit of a complicated process to set this one from scratch, but if someone is setting that for you, just to modify some parameters into this one is pretty easy. So if I want to go to the fleet or transceiver setting, let's say transceiver setting, you want to modify some transceiver settings here, some tones or some gains, or what it displays on the screen. You go to each transceiver, but you access that information through the IP1000C. Also, if you want to remove some radios, some of those Wi-Fi radios, if you want to block some access, you can do through that stuff. Destination settings, you assign some phone numbers, extensions. So it's lots of information to set onto these little Wi-Fi radios to get them work properly and the way the customer wants. But again, this is not an instructional video, so I have to conclude this video. It's a really nice type of design. I like it. If you don't have to do the programming, you will enjoy it too. If you have to do the programming, probably it takes you some time. It's a learning curve. I'm used to work with VE-PG3. I've done a few projects in the past, and I've done work with Motorola and with Telex. So I have some knowledge of doing this type of stuff. But for someone who wants to take the project from scratch, it probably requires a lot of head scratching. So better give the job to someone who've done this type of stuff before. So again, each radio receives or gets an IP from that server. And if I want to dial, I don't know if I see that. So I can dial an individual radio out of the fleet, or I can dial the telephone number. So let's connect. I press, and that phone is ringing, right? And I can have a duplex phone call with an extension. So it's a lot of cool stuff. Same thing with two-way radios through the repeaters or to base station. I love it. Thank you for watching, and I hope you will update your fleet. And this is not a sale video, it's not a presentation video, it's just some tips for those who want to approach this type of Wi-Fi radio, new technology. Take care, bye-bye.